In 1942, 767 Japanese Canadian men were imprisoned in prisoner of war camps in Canada. 2/3 were Canadian-born. None were ever charged with a crime. In his book, The Enemy That Never Was, Ken Adachi wrote that the uprooting needed a relatively docile, cooperative group of victims to make it possible. In retrospect, the Japanese-Canadian community was neither docile nor silent. They were silenced. Within hours of Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, the Canadian government invoked the War Measures Act against Japanese Canadians. The Canadian Navy impounded the entire Japanese-Canadian fishing fleet on the West Coast. All 58 Japanese language schools were closed. The 3 Japanese language newspapers were shut down. And 40 prominent Japanese Canadians were arrested as undesirable. Among them were a surgeon, a Buddhist priest, editors from all 3 Japanese language newspapers, several principals of Japanese language schools, business leaders, farmers, and laborers. The majority were married with Canadian-born children and, on average, had lived in Canada for 19 years. One of them was Tokikazu Hojo Tanaka, a descendant of the Hojo samurai. He graduated from Takushoku University in Tokyo and attended the University of Wisconsin and Columbia University in New York. In 1926, he founded the Queensborough Gakuin Japanese Language School in New Westminster, where he taught with his wife, Kizue. He was a star pitcher for the Vancouver Asahi. Fluently bilingual, he was also a well-respected mediator in the Japanese-Canadian community. On the morning of December 7, 1941, Tokikazu Tanaka was arrested at home in front of his wife and his 3 children. He was 48 years old. 70 years later, at 87 years of age, Tokikazu's son, Byron Mitsuaki Hojo Tanaka, remembers the day his father was taken away.
My dad was interned on December 7th, 1941. We never saw him until the spring of 1946. And that's the best time my mother and dad had, you know what I mean? They missed 60 years of each other. I feel pretty bad about that. I missed him too. I missed my dad too because I was 17 then. And I needed him most of that time for guidance and so on.
Tokikazu was jailed without charge in the Vancouver Immigration Building for 2 months and then transferred to POW Camp 130 in Seib, Alberta. In February 1942, the federal government ordered every male of Japanese ancestry between the ages of 18 and 45 to leave the British Columbia coast. They were sent to forced labor camps in remote parts of the province to build roads. Most complied. Some didn't, like Koichiro Miyazaki, who had served in the Japanese armed forces. Even though he had lived in Canada for 13 years, he remained loyal to Japan and believed they would be victorious. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, Miyazaki wrote in his diary,
"I felt light and almost began whistling. Images of the mighty warplanes, the bright red rising sun on their flanks as they flew over the Pacific came to mind."
He reasoned that his response might have been an instinctive reaction, nurtured by the many years of discrimination he had suffered in Canada. Even though he graduated from the provincial teacher training program at Vancouver Normal School in 1932, he and anyone of Japanese ancestry were excluded from teaching in the public school system. As the principal of the Fairview Japanese Language School and a journalist for the Tairiku Nippo Japanese language newspaper, Miyazaki was a well-respected member of the Japanese Canadian community. In spite of his loyalty to Japan, he believed that war is an obscene and cruel act perpetrated by human beings. He and his daughter Reika welcomed King George and Queen Elizabeth during their royal visit to Canada in 1939.
Daddy, they're coming! They're coming!
When he announced to his students that the school would close, he tried to provide some comfort.
"The day when Japan and Canada are good friends will come again. You are all Canadians. Please become good Canadians."
On March 7, 1942, Koichiro Miyazaki was jailed in the Vancouver Immigration Building for refusing to report to a forced labor camp. 5 weeks later, he was sent to POW Camp 33 in Petawawa, Ontario.